what I mean is.
What did your dad do for work?
He worked for Everdeen and Farrow.
What did he do though?
And they were rich men that came from New York, and they both were millionaires, and they started the store right with the bank of the store built up from the river, and a little porch there that the boats could come up the Columbia River, out of the Columbia, and switch into the Willamette River and up and stop right at the back door of that great big wooden building where my dad worked, where they kept all kind of food for horses, food for cows, and butter and eggs at Cathlamet, which is in the country. If you start from here and go south, you see a sign, Cathlamet. Just the name is there, but there's nobody living down there anymore because this is 100 years ago. But that's how long, you know, that.
What did he do at the store? Was he sell stuff or?
He drove the horse, the Springstein, and the man that owned it was a rich millionaire. And after the horse is a 240 trotter. Do you know what that means?
No.
Well, a horse is a 240 trotter. You just go to a race. But the minute he goes in that race and he breaks and has to hop to make that up, he fails. No longer he's a #1 racer. And my dad did that and Sunday I'd go with him, and I'd sit in this little teeny of a seat, and I wasn't very big. But the dad like this, reins like this. The horse's name was Springstein.
So your dad drove the horse for the company?
Yes.
He delivers stuff.
And then, no.
What did he do?
Tim in the barn, no, the company had their own wagon.
Yeah.
They delivered the hay and the wheat and the oak and the flour and to the neighbors.
Oh, your dad delivered the stuff?
Country, yeah. All around downtown. And town wasn't as big as from here to your down the street here.
So your dad drove the wagon to deliver stuff?
I would go on Sunday with my dad down there, and he'd feed the horse. And the minute the first horse would touch the floor from the cement street, dap, dap, like that, you'd hear the two horses in the barn would go stark, staring, mad until the day I die. The horses, by the time Dad had get the great big double wooden door locked and the key out to put in his pocket, the two horses, he'd open the door, and I've been with him 100 times. The door would open, and the two damn horses, pure white and beautiful, standing on their hind legs. I can see that much of them against, you know how they put you in and put your board in front of you?
Uh-huh.
Well, that much higher than the road itself, than the barn itself, and the two horses that my dad had come on Sunday morning to come down and take us down to feed those two horses on Sunday morning. My dad would bring us down, and that horse would stand on the side, and all I could see was this much of the horses, and I was little, and it looked like those horses, well, God, I thought they touched the sky. There was a roof in that barn where they lived and everything, but there would be that horse on the two white horses on their hind legs, and standing, I'd see that much up over the top of the building. The two horses looking out. They bumped their head through that hole in the roof, and then we're here, and Dad has to let us out. He has to unlock the great big double door. He has to find the key. He has to tie the great big horses back. And at that end is the draft, where are these two horses that are standing on their hind legs. You can see that much of them, like they're actually touching the sky. He'd go down there, and those horses, two of them, would dance a jig. 'cause my dad came, they'd been alone all Sunday night, all Saturday night, and Sunday morning we'd go down and Dad would feed the horses. And he knew right where the buckets of food was that the horses had in the morning. And they would play holy hell. When I think of it now, of those, and I was scared, I'd only go so far. I'd go from here to there, to that stall, because those horses were on their hind legs. And they were that far from reaching the sky, I thought, because they were so tickled to see my dad, see? And with his great, he'd have a great big bucket here and a bucket here, and dump it in like that. And those horses, they didn't holler, "Thank you, Dick," or they didn't holler, but they would, yeah, yeah. So tickled to see my dad, because they'd been alone in the dark building all night long. And Sunday morning, my dad would take us kids in the car with him and drive down. And then the minute he'd put the key in the door, that horse knew it was my dad coming with the food for the horses. And we'd finally open the great, big, wide double doors to get out. Oh, when I think of it now, it just, I wouldn't, those days, well, nobody knows what I'm talking about. They just don't know what I'm talking about, I tell you. But we couldn't wait to ride with my dad down to the barn, clear down in the back of the river. The back of the building came out of the river, because the boats came right smack dab up to the back of the building, and then they would unload it. People rode in the boat then, down the Columbia River.